can't believe it's been a year. It just feels like a year ago I was filming this. We're getting set in 2 days' time for the Targa City Sprint. So we've got the Abarth, which has had a lot of work done to it, which I'm going to go through. I find on YouTube, internet, stuff like that, there's lots about the Abarth, but it's all sort of like bits and pieces, and you've got to try and, you know, work it out yourself. And no one really goes through the whole sort of build and what they did and why they did it and if it was good or if it was bad and things like that. But anyway, I've got my little notepad so I don't forget points. Now, this is the 5th year that we're running the Targa, the City Sprint. Now, I'll give you some times and we'll put it up. So back in 18, I did 1 minute 57. Car was pretty much stock. I just bought it, had sort of just 15-inch slicks on, a tune and filter and just, you know, generic stuff. And I did a 157. Then come 19, got a little bit touch more serious and got 156. So I saved a second, but we noticed that there was heaps of wheel spin and stuff like that. And we're just trying to develop. And this was, you know, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, there wasn't as much stuff. Then in 2020, I did 1 minute 58. So I was even worse. And that's when I kind of went, this is like very, very frustrating, because I know the car's capable, but all these, you know, traction control and stuff like that sort of let it down. So fast forward to 21, we had the LSD diff put in. We had Nankang tyres on, so proper semi-slicks, better brakes, better, you know, we had a lot of the package that we see today, minus the power, and we dropped it down to 153. So it gave me a bit of a taste, and it was to the point where it was more that the car was sort of set up. It had suspension, brakes, it had the grip with the LSD, because these without an LSD is just a waste of time. You have to put, if I could say one mod that's like a necessity that you have to do, forget all your tuning and turbos and stuff like that, you need to get an LSD so that both, you know, tyres are gripping. But it sort of follows through, because the main issue is the traction control. You can't turn it off. You can't, you know, you press a button and all this type of stuff, but it just kicks in and you lose power and time every single second that the wheels are slipping. So that's probably the biggest upgrade, or the best upgrade that anyone that owns one of these, you have to do. It's expensive, I know, because while you're there, you're going to do obviously clutch flywheel as well. So it turns into a $5-6 grand job at the end. But it's just well worth it, because it doesn't matter how much power you put into these without an LSD, it's just absolutely pointless until they can somehow crack the ABS thing to take it off. But anyway, all right. So based on that, we got a bit of a taste. I was getting really good with the car. We took it to the track. As you see in my last video, you might want to watch. I'll put it up there so you can have a look at it. The car was just seriously lacking in power. We had it dyno tuned before all these upgrades that we did, and we had a massive 147 horsepower at the wheels. Now, when I talk power figures, I don't care what engine makes. I don't care anything. All I care about is what turns this wheel, because that's the only thing that is really relevant. So all these numbers, engines and 5 million horsepower and all that stuff, it means nothing to me. It's just what's at these. So whenever I quote a figure, it's always at the wheels. So we got just shy of 150 horsepower at the wheels with the small little IHI turbo. So that got me going, thinking, okay, well, suspension setup, handling setup, brakes are good. We've got everything, LSD, we need to now add the power. So I sort of went backwards. Maybe as I'm getting older, I'm getting a bit smarter. Back in the day, you'd get as much power as you can, and then you wouldn't be able to pull up or turn or whatever. So I started going along the lines of going, okay, where am I going to, or how am I going to do this upgrade in power? I want it to obviously be reliable. I personally don't like turbo cars. I don't like them because they're like a motorbike two-stroke. They sort of, you know, you've got nothing power, and then nothing power. It's sort of all over the shop. I prefer NA, that's just me. So one of the big things for me was the least amount of lag as possible, because the IHI turbo, even the guys when they dyno tuned it at 147 horsepower at the wheels, they said this thing has zero lag, and it didn't. It was just on, off, you know, the boost was just beautiful, but it would drop off at like, you know, at about 120 to 140 kilometers an hour, just absolutely nothing. And that's where I sit on the straights at Barbagallo, just, you know, waiting, you know, having a coffee, waiting for the, you know, the turn to come up. So I started talking to a company in Italy, Avezzano Abruzzi, which is actually where I'm from. So for me, it was like a bit of a connection, like, you know, my family's there and stuff like that. And we're going to go a high flow Garrett GT Turbo, the one that comes in the Competizione, but a little bit more beefed up, all the ancillaries to make it work. But before I sort of pushed the button, I wanted to double check with my dear old friend Vince at ARI Performance. Now, he's in Sydney, and he would be sort of the, I don't want to say the godfather because he's too young. He's more of a technical genius when it comes to these, and not because he's smart. He's not smart at all, but he has such a passion for it, and I love people that have a passion for anything, and he has developed so much when it comes to the Abarth. And I think anyone from Australia that can compete on the world sort of market is normally better than the rest of the world, because we always get a little bit of a, you know, we're so far away, we just get forgotten about. And Vince over in Sydney, he's developed and made his own parts for these, which he sells, you know, all over the world, which I just think is amazing. So yeah, so spoke to Vince, said, look, Vince, this is what I want to do. You know, I don't want to go crazy horsepower. I'm not interested. I just want the least amount of lag. And he sort of told me, look, problem is with that, you are going to get a lot of lag with the GT 1446 turbo that the Competizione comes out with. He had another sort of setup that he's been working on, and this was about, you know, a year ago we started it. So I said, okay, let's do it. So in the back of my head, I was like, look, I much prefer to deal with someone in Australia because that's where I am. I know they're on the other side of the country, but if anything stuffs up, I can just hop on a plane, fly over and sort of beat them up. But no, I just thought, look, it's going to be easier than dealing with, you know, the guys in Italy. Not that they were bad, but I just thought, all right, let's go this way. So I've got everything written down because I can't remember all this stuff. So Vince does at ARI Performance a Stage 4 kit, and it's got a GTX 2554 0.57 turbo. To me, that means absolutely nothing. But to him, he's gone through about 10 or 12 turbos to get the best sort of efficiency for the turbo, the least amount of lag, and obviously just, you know, the best overall performance, not just hitting a number, because this car is not sort of a car that's just a dyno, you know, queen or something to go around to shows and, you know, have backfires. I actually, you know, want to make this car competitive only because no one else sort of does that here in Australia anyway. So he said, look, it's going to have a lot less lag. Let's go that route. So that's kind of what we did. So I'm going to be honest with you, it was a very painful exercise. Not so much on his side of things, but just both sides. Being other side of the world, the engine bays on these, I know a lot of people, YouTube, wherever, they're so tight. The tolerances, you know, the millimeters everywhere. So it was a real sort of pain in the ass. Before I go any further, I need to sort of thank another Vince. Vince from Auto Italia here in Perth. He, from day dot, he has supported the build, he supported me, and he's just done such a great job in interpreting what Vince ARI has done, bringing it across here and then tweaking it to suit sort of, you know, this setup and this work. So I can't thank him, Auto Italia, his dad Mario, enough. And they're the main reasons why I'm here for, because I saw they were having so much fun doing these city sprints and Targa events. I just had to get in on the action. So, all right, so enough talking here. I'm going to open up the bonnet, we'll go inside and I'll show you all the sort of little upgrades that I've done, okay? Okay, so this is inside the engine bay. So this is the GTX 25, whatever the numbers are. So it's about, I would say, 3 to 4 times bigger than the original unit. Now, we've done a couple of other upgrades. Now, obviously, when you buy the kit from Vince, he supplies everything, injectors, all the map sensors, and then he also has a custom tune, which I have to mention, Leo at Coco Euro Tec. He does all the tuning for the Abarths and the Alphas and so on, and the tune, gonna be brutally honest with you, it's actually too good. Once it's running like properly and all set up, it almost drives like a, I don't know, like a, I don't want to say a Rolls Royce, but a Mercedes. Just the power of delivery is just so smooth, linear, there's no nasty holes. It's just an absolute, you kind of forget how much power. You can almost just drive it in a car park or daily the car. So big, you know, hats off to you, Leo. The tuning that you do is just amazing. Now, like I said, it comes with injectors, all that stuff that Vince supplies. A couple of extra things that we did was we had everything ceramic coated by CIC, just to sort of help with the heat. And then over time, and when I say time, I'm talking probably like 2 months, I've had to add extra heat shields and guards and stuff like that because I've melted 2 lithium batteries. So we've had to go the Odyssey battery with the metal box because just the heat. To get it into the actual interior, it's such a mission because you've got like a 20-cent hole which goes through the firewall unless you want to start drilling things through, which I don't really want to do. It's just an absolute mission. We purchased a battery holder from, I think it's Cobb or someone, for a different model and retrofitted it to make it work. So that's, it gives us more sort of space, but also like keen eyes might see that we've removed the ECU, which is normally here, and we've brought it over here with custom brackets and stuff like that. Now, when I purchased the kit, it had all Turbo Smart gear supplied by Vince, but the really good thing is with Vince is that he doesn't just stop developing the system. He's always making updates and upgrades and finding better ways, which he supplied to me, at no charge. So he upgraded to the Go Fast Bits. Being in Sydney, he can speak with the team at Go Fast Bits in Sydney, and they developed obviously the wastegate to suit, and it just works so much better than the other wastegate that was supplied before. It's an improvement on an improvement. So that's kind of the engine side of things. So yeah, it's very, 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 very now powerful. I'll get into the power, what it's actually making on the dyno in a sec. So that's kind of visually, we had to change a bit of the PCV system because we were just getting so much blow by because obviously we've increased the power somewhat. So we just needed to vent off a bit more. Now, in the initial sort of driving of the car and dyno tuning, I could feel up top. Now, the car's only done about 18,000 Ks, so it's not like it's done heaps of Ks. But the clutch started slipping up top. Now, we had a clutch that we purchased a couple of years ago. It's been a bit of a nightmare. I would not recommend the place that I purchased it from, but I'm not going to name names. But we had to have it modified by Direct Clutch in Queensland, who did a fantastic job. However, it's still so hard. It's just everyone that sits in it and pushes it just can't believe. It's almost like it's a V10, Lamborghini of 1960. That's how hard it is. But it is what it is. So light and flywheel, the whole lot, that was beautiful that they made. So yeah, so that sort of gives you a bit of an indication of what we've done up front. Now, we swapped out, like I said, the clutch and the light and flywheel so we can actually get the power to the ground. Now, remember, we've got the LSD, which is good, so that box is ticked. While we did the clutch as well, we ended up putting in, because the submember, the subframe at the front was taken off, we ended up putting in a DNA front strut bar because we had the rear strut bar in, and that made a massive difference. So we wanted to, pretty much get the front one in, which has made a big difference. Again, I've only driven the car, I would say, 250 kilometres since the turbo upgrade. We've also done a bit in the interior. So we've got a, I don't know if this will show you, let me see. So we've got a 6-point harness now from Sparco. We also have, I might go around the other side, just so we can see it a bit better, because the lights. We also fitted one of those trick DNA shifters, which unfortunately we had to modify a little bit to sort of get it to work correctly, and there's a bit more modifications to go with it. So we've sort of done that setup, which is cool. Now, one thing that is sort of a little bit pain in the ass, but we have a half cage or 4-point cage coming, but it was just late. So we'll probably get it next week after the event on Sunday. But that's going to be fitted in, so then the actual 6-point harness can actually be done right and strapped in nice. So that's kind of the interior. Still, not much changes. We do have probably 2 little things that we've done. And again, I'll see if I can get it in there without making you all sick, seasick. But we've put the AEM O2 reader so we can see exactly the O2 readings. We've also put a Go Fast Bits, if you can see on the other side. Get out, Kilochrome. Let's go over. Oh, there we go. the Go Fast Bits electronic boost control. It's not set up yet. It's purely just reading boost, and it's hooked up with the AFR. Eventually, what I want to do is have like a like the safety thing. So if it over boosts, it will cut obviously the boost if the fuel runs lean, if that makes sense. Then we also put a shift light because the car just spins so quickly. It's an absolute joke. So I'm sort of hitting limiter again in the 250 kilometres that I've actually run it. So that's kind of the interior, what we've done different. We also have, mentioning Killer Chrome, we put the black protective covers on the car just to black it out to make it look cool. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how fast or how, how good the car is. It's all about how good you look. So yeah, I think it looks good. We've got a couple more little mods to do, which I'll show you a bit later on once they're fitted. Now, onto the brakes, we had to actually change the pads. Now, we had good pads before, but because the power is so much more, we had to fit the Winamax W5s. Place in Queensland, absolute champions. I forget their name. I think it's Direct Brake or something or other. But yeah, basically, they had them on the shelf because no one's got anything in Australia at the moment, and sent it across. 2-3 days I had them. The car just literally brakes on a dime. It just stops, and it is just absolutely mental. So we've got the brakes. Another massive thing, I bought another set of wheels. So these aren't the proper reds because they're just reds from Aussie tyres. And yeah, they're not great wheels, but the issue we have, like everyone around the world, is that it's 4x98. Like WTF, Abarth, Fiat, who the hell uses that? So we're really limited. And the good thing is these can be drilled to spec. So yeah, we did another upgrade in the tyres, and I have to get out in the next sort of hour or so to scrub them in, because from what I understand and read, and you guys can tell me in the comments, these need a little bit of bedding in. We've got the Toyo Proxy R888Rs, and again, we got them purely because they're available for the size that we need. I would have loved to have got the Yokohamas, but they just don't do it in the size. But hopefully one day we'll end up getting like different size wheels and maybe flares and stuff like that. So we'll see how we go. Now, a couple of other things we did, creased a little bit of aero in the back. We actually made the diffuser panel. So we made the stock diffusers actually work a little bit better by putting a special, let me go under here. Let me see if this will actually do it. No, probably, no, there we go. Probably can't see it, but anyway, under there is like a steel pan which feeds the actual diffusers. I've only had it up to about 100 k's the speed limit, so didn't really make that much of a difference, but every little bit helps, I think. So that's kind of the upgrades that we've got for this event. Now, I'm going to stop the camera, we'll go around and I will tell you exactly how much horsepower now it's making compared to before. All right, so with the whole kit set up, we're hitting now, and this was the best run, and I'm sort of delaying it a bit. And also it's not up to the full boost, so it should be 26 to 27, and we're running 22. So because we just wanted to see how the air fuel mixtures were going, that was directed by Vince and Leo before we start belting it. So it went to the dyno. Big thanks to VA Technic. They let us use their dyno. Vince went on there, we dynoed, we checked all the air fuel mixtures. Before we had to send the ECU back for a bit of a tweak, so it was back and forth, a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Now it's actually a little bit too rich, which I'm happy with, no issues at all. Just means we can really sort of push the limits a bit more. So at around 22 PSI, the best run we got, and I think it's a bit inflated because, you can change figures and stuff, but it was showing 240 brake horsepower, which is kind of on the money because Vince states in his kits it's about 180 kilowatts at the wheels to 200 kilowatts at the wheels. So it's basically within spec of what he sort of has tested it in, but we've still got another 4 or 5 PSI to feed into it. So in the next couple of hours, I'm actually going to hop in the car and actually give it a bit of a run because again, we've changed so much on the car from last year, but one thing that hasn't changed, and I don't think it'll ever change, is I never have time, or it's always last minute, to actually test the car, to get used to it, to get the feeling. Like it's a bit frustrating in that respect because there's always something new. You don't know how it's going to react and handle. It's just lucky that I'm a pro driver and I'm so good that it takes me a couple of laps and bang, I've got it, Michael Schumacher, Nothing, me, mate, Roberto Rossi. It's a joke, by the way, so don't get all, you know, panties in a knot. So yeah, so we're going to take it for a drive in the next couple of hours. Next video you'll see will be me getting ready for the actual Targa event, and then we'll do a couple of laps, and fingers crossed. We've done a bit of calculations, and you know, I think it'll be a win if I can get into the top 20. There's, I think it's about 50 drivers in the event. My best so far is 35 out of the field. So if I can get into the top 20, it means I'm doing, you know, obviously really well, but also the car has really come to. So fingers crossed for me. But hopefully in this next sort of drive that we do, nothing sort of blows up. But no, everything's really cool. And yeah, just want to end it this little segment on saying thank you so much again to Auto Italia, who have installed. So if you're in Perth, WA, and you've got an Italian car, or you just really care and you really sort of, you know, you want the best for your car, I would go see the guys there. They're sort of old school mechanics. They're not just plug a computer in, check it, oh yeah, we'll replace that. They actually think about stuff. Just, you know, quick example, because I'm going off track. Vince would call me up a couple of days later and sort of say, hey, you know that problem that we had? I've been thinking we should do this and this and this. Try this and try that and do this for me. So, you know, they actually care and they get involved in a few of the projects for their customers, so which is really good. Also Vince, there's too many Vinces, but Vince, ARI Performance. If you're in Australia, you have an Abarth or an Alpha or a Fiat, anything with the 1.4, 1.7, 2 litre, whatever, he's your guy. You have to go to him because he just has the answers because he's lived it and done it. He's a specialist. I'm a massive believer in, you know, a specialist will always trump the generalist. So someone that specialises in something will always be far more knowledgeable, and they may be more expensive. Not that Vince is expensive, but they may be more expensive. But the money that you save in the long run is just, it's just worth every cent. And to get everything correct, there's a lot of things that I wish I had gone through Vince for, but he hadn't developed it yet, because I've had dramas with other things that just, yeah, it's just frustrating because people are just guesswork, or they just, yeah, that should work on paper, but in real life it's different. And then also, obviously, Leo from Coco Euro Tec tunes. Honestly, you have to get one of his tunes, even if you've got to fly your ECU over there to get him to do it. They've done so many different variations, and they work for Australian conditions. So you can't go, you know, much better than that. So, so I've got my thank yous out of the way. Guys, we'll see you in a couple of days just before the event, and then we'll be at the event, and we'll see, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can, you know, get better, increase, and then I'll also let you know the next stages of upgrades, because I've come to a conclusion with this car, and this is a big thing for me. It's a big commitment because I don't really keep things very long. I chop and change and mod up and sell and buy, but this, I'm going to say, it's actually really hard for me to say it, but I'm going to say it, I'm keeping this car for the rest of my living life. I just love it. It's cute. So many times I've thought, oh, I'll just get like a Lotus, or I'll get, you know, like a GR Yaris or something like that. No, I'm sticking with this. I love it. It's just, it's really hit me here. Love you so much. So there's going to be a lot more progression and builds on the car. So yeah, so if you're into that, then yeah, then please subscribe to the channel. For those motorbike viewers, guys, I've got loads and loads of content on Street Fighters and SP2s and stuff like that. Life has just been sort of crazy with this, you know, Italian mistress that has just taken, you know, my sort of, you know, will to live a little bit. So you will see a lot more of that. So, all right, guys, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Okay, ciao.